For the Planning and Zoning Commission, public hearing for Monday, April 28th, 2022. Can I get a roll call, please?
Back to the future.
I know, right?
Mr. Kurtz.
Here.
Mr. Sterlo, absent. Mr. Natale, I'm here. Mr. Mercado.
Here.
Mr. Bowman.
Here.
Mr. Dawson's absent. Mr. Carderas.
Here.
Mr. Selma.
Here.
Mr. Tedisco.
Here.
Ms. Blake. Ms. Downs. Mr. Hilsinger. We have a quorum.
Great. Everyone join me in the pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our only order of business tonight is the zone text change petition of the planning and zoning to add section 23 definition micro cultivator and text section 30 schedule A paragraph 75 micro cultivator. Do we even have a call?
I don't.
We have no call.
Do you have the legal notice? I think I have a copy. Yeah.
Legal notice. Zone text change petition, Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission application to add section 23 definition for micro cultivator and text to section 30, schedule A 75 micro cultivator use.
Great, thank you. All right, in our packet, we had the text amendment. We had a couple discussions about this. I don't see anyone here from the public. If someone happens to walk in, we can take their testimony, but does anyone have any further comment on what we have here? That's the motion you got right there, right?
So this is the text amendment. This paragraph is what we would be adding?
I think it,
That's the draft motion. In your packet, you actually have, there's a memo that's dated March 1st. It's from me to the Planning and Zoning Commission. It was the text that we discussed at the last workshop
Oh, okay, yes.
regarding it.
All right, no, I've seen this. Yes, thank you.
And just maybe just quick for the record, so you're adding a definition for micro cultivator, which is pursuant to the state statute. The other is the use that's going to be specially permitted in the industrial zoning districts with some performance standards such as separation distance from residentially used structures and along with requiring an odor control plan.
so we had 2-3 meetings on this. I don't remember what it was, but if no one really has any other comment, everyone's okay with our amendment. Mr. Tedesco?
Yeah, I think I should say this during the public hearing portion. I'm going to vote no on this. And I've decided after a lot of thought that I'm not going to vote to authorize an activity in Cheshire that I think is probably illegal under federal law. And I thought about it and I just quite can't bring myself to do that. So I'm going to vote no on this.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other discussion? We have no public people here, so I guess I will close the public hearing. Where's my thing? With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn the public hearing. Moved by Mr. Caderas, seconded by Mr. Ricardo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, moving. That was pretty quick, yeah. All right, moving on, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting for Monday, April 25th, 2022. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes from 4/11, our special meeting, and our regular meeting? Is that what that stands for? Well, I'm sorry, we had 2 special meetings. One on 4/11 and a regular meeting on 4/11, 2022, and our special meeting on 4/18, 2022. Motion from
Motion-
Mr.
motion
Talley,
to- yeah,
second by
motion
Mr.
approved.
Mercado. Any discussion, corrections, anything on the minutes? Okay, for Marilyn, who's listening at home, I'm gonna have, who am I gonna have? Mrs. Downs, Mr. Hilsinger, how's that? On voting on this, because we have 10 people up here, but we only 9 people vote, so. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining?
I'm not abs- I could abstain. I wasn't here for the 18th.
Okay, motion carries 801 with Mr. Natale abstaining. Unfinished business. Any communications to come before us? No?
No communications for this evening.
Unfinished business. We have a motion that was here tonight. Is everybody okay with voting on the micro cultivator text?
Yeah.
Okay, can we hear the motion, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a motion to approve application for zoning text change petition of the Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission application to add to section 23 definitions for micro cultivator and text to section 30 Schedule A 75 micro cultivator use. Further, the Planning and Zoning Commission finds the proposed text amendment meets the goals and objectives of the 2016 Plan of Conservation and Development. The commission sets an effective date of May 21st, 2022 for the text amendment.
Move Scott Forty.
Move Mr. Vitale, second by Mr. Mercado. Any discussion on this motion? Mr. Natale.
Yeah, I'll just say that, the chair mentioned that we met 3 or 4 times on this, and we've gone back and forth, inside and out, looked at it many different ways, looked at the zones, looked at the distance from residential, and I think that for me, it's something workable, so I'll be voting for it.
Okay, any other discussion?
I think this is a good case I think this is a good case of perfect being the enemy of the good, and I think this is a good program, and I'll be voting for it as well. Good and perfect program.
All right. Any other discussion?
Just for the reasons I expressed during the public hearing, I'm going to vote no.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, we will switch Ms. Blake and Mr. Hilsinger on this one. How's that? All right, just for the 9. Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And anyone abstaining? Motion carries.
I would like to make a comment.
Can I finish first? Motion carries 810 with Mr. Tedesco opposed. Mr. Bowman, you have the floor.
Thank you. I voted for it, but Mr. Tedesco had a great comment. I wish it was made a little bit sooner. This is against federal law, and it gave me food for thought, but I think that this does fit into the location of it. Fits for the town of Cheshire, but it does give food for thought being against the federal law. Thank you for that, Lou.
Okay, moving on. We had a great meeting. There wasn't a lot of us there at our the 18th of April about our affordable housing. So I decided to put it on the agenda for this meeting, if not to talk about things about it tonight, to make sure everyone knows that our next meeting, the first meeting in May, is pretty much your last opportunity to get your points across and anything we want to change or add or anything to the affordable housing plan. So, I mean, if there is anybody that wants to bring anything up tonight, that's you're more than welcome to, but it's more, it's also more of a reminder that the next meeting, because correct me if I'm wrong, next meeting we have our public hearing, or next meeting, the following meeting is our public hearing.
So you had your public workshops, you don't have a public hearing, but you have to adopt this plan by June 1st. So you have May 9th and May 23rd as your 2 dates in May.
So May 9th to get everything locked down, and then the 23rd, we have to vote on it.
The 23rd would be the drop dead date. I mean,
Yeah.
you could vote on it
We
at
could
your
vote next
meeting,
time, too.
in theory, if everyone's comfortable, or if there's some changes, substitutions, et cetera, you want to make to the plan, you have until May 23rd as the last date. But we really would like to get this into OPM by June 1st. That's when it's due. So to keep the Cheshire on the good list and avoid putting on the naughty list by OPM.
So we have till the 23rd, but we have to vote on the 23rd. So
Correct.
we don't want to hear new testimony or anything we want to change on the 23rd. So I stress that either tonight or our meeting on the 9th is when we need to have anything new we want put in this plan. Mr. Bowman.
Unless there's something substantial to change I think we could actually vote on it on the 9th,
Yes.
unless there's some,
Yeah. I mean, well, if we had a great meeting.
Yeah.
Last Monday,
yes, we did.
but a lot of the commission was not here last Monday. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's why I put it on for tonight, just as a reminder, like if anyone wants to talk about it tonight, we can talk about it. Or the drop dead date is our first meeting in May needs to be on the 9th. That's when we need all the information in. So, Mr. Natale.
Yeah, let's ask a question, because I wasn't at the last meeting, and with the minutes, I'm unsure. Where did we land at the last meeting on the accessory apartments and the rent, either the rentals of those, or if it's going to still be family members?
That's
I'm sorry,
not
affordable
this,
housing.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're talking about the affordable housing now, not
Okay,
the,
Gotcha.
yeah, what's the time frame on the,
So we have until January 1st, 2023 to do something
Okay,
about
never
our
mind,
accessory
sorry.
dwelling units. But Commissioner Vitale, just there was three items or three areas I think were items that, that were hot ticket, that a lot of the commissions had opinions, it's one side or the other. One is the requirement of family, whether to continue with that in the regs or change that. Two is detached versus detached accessory dwelling units. Last was the size that was discussed. Those kind of, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if the commissioners were present. I mean, those are the really three items that we kind of wrestled with to try to say, is there any sort of consensus from the commissioners present on any of these items?
Mr. Bowl?
No, but good points were brought up. Point number one is, as we get older and want to stay home, that if, to require a relative in that accessory dwelling when, in fact, it could be a caregiver, I think that should be, made very clear. And I was also one, if I'm lucky enough to have one of my children accept me when I get older, which is very doubtful at this point. I would like something a little bigger than 950 square feet. And I'm not talking about something huge, but I did mention something in the neighborhood of 1,200 square feet.
I would also go very, very open on the definition of a caregiver. I mean, a caregiver could be somebody who cuts the lawn for you if you're not able to, or to do some outside chores that you may not necessarily need. So I would have an expansive view of what you would call a caregiver, or somebody you're trading. A lot of places, when I was young, there were people that, hey, if they cut your rent in half if you cut the grass or help at the farm or something like that.
Mr. Mercado, sorry.
To bring the accessory apartment back to the affordable housing, do those accessory apartments that rent, if they're allowed to be rented out, whether it's family or not, does that fall under the affordable housing numbers?
If they're deed restricted pursuant to Connecticut General State Statute 830G, then you can get points for those. And I gave an example at the workshop. The town of Milford, Connecticut, historically has required deed restrictions for certain accessory dwelling units that are approved by the commission. They get points for those. So it's just an idea. But just remember, that would be a deed restriction that has to fall 830G, meaning it's there for 40 years. It's the rents are going to be controlled by whatever the incomes are that are produced by HUD for the New Haven, Meriden metro area. Sorry, just last thing would be, you have to decide, do you want to put those restrictions to 80% or 60% of the area median income? Those are the two numbers that 830G gravitates to.
All right. Mr. Tedesco?
Yeah, Matt said he's hoping one of his kids will accept him someday. I think my youngest daughter is trying to move me out of my house and into an accessory apartment, which I'm supposed to pay for. So, anything can happen. But the accessory apartment discussion, that's not really part of the affordable housing plan, is it?
It's not, but it sort of got hijacked this,
Well, no, I think it's fine, but we have the rest of the year to work on
Yes.
those regulations, right? Well, I want to thank Michael for giving this detailed plan. I said this to him when he was standing here before. Though you have everything in here to give us something to work from on this. The plan is not, though, I guess it's not a legal document per se, right? It's something that has to be filed and prepared, but it doesn't restrict or impose any new legal requirements.
So it's similar to the POCD. It's an advisory document. It's kind of saying, in the next 5 years, we're going to set a goal of increasing affordable housing. Here's the menu of options on how to achieve that goal. Now, obviously, the market's going to dictate whether we get to that goal or not. But we have these as options that are there to kind of put a college effort forward to say, yeah, we're going to try to meet that goal of increasing affordable housing in Cheshire.
And yeah, okay, fair enough. That's helpful. And for example, a number of things you wrote on page 16 and 17, most of these things would require us to have a regulation, right? To enact a regulation or to amend our zoning ordinances to put them into effect. Putting them in the plan does not do that at all, correct?
That's correct.
For example, I mean, establishing a zoning permit fee, we don't have one. We would have to pass something on that specifically.
Yeah, so that fee, that's through 82 Connecticut General State Statute 8-2I, the inclusionary zoning statute. So yeah, that'd be something actually also through council, because the council establishes fees. So it'd be twofold. It would be this commission saying, hey, we're going to pursue an inclusionary zoning fee. Could we adopt this to the fee structure? That, like what we charge for zoning permits, for applications that come before this commission. And the intent would be, is the fees collected go into what's called a housing trust fund. Those fees can only be used for the creation or renovation of existing affordable housing units in Cheshire. So really, the example is, I think I said this in my presentation, the town of New Canaan is a community that does this. They charge like $50 for every single permit, regardless of what it's for. That goes into their housing trust fund. And what they've done in the past 5 to 10 years, the fees that were collected by that that surcharge that's on the permits, they actually renovated and expanded their senior housing facility, which is operated by their housing authority. No state grants, entirely based on the fees collected from zoning permits, and resulted in more affordable units without really expanding the housing base, because it was already an existing facility. It would be like Beechwood expanding, adding 20 more units there, and it's funded by these fees that are collected.
How much would fees be?
I think it's something that we'd have to discuss down the road, should the commission choose this option. And it's an option. I explained earlier, this is kind of a menu. You can pick and choose what do you want to put on, what do you want off this menu. They don't all have to remain. These are all just some options. I would think that, economy of scale, you don't want to say, oh, it's $100 per administrative zoning permit. That's just too high and too much of a burden. If you said anywhere between $20 and $50, I think that's reasonable. And like I said, that then eventually that goes into a housing trust fund that is only used for one purpose.
So do you think it would be wise to be almost over-inclusive in the plan now, so that things are there in case the commission wanted to look at those things and make them into law at some point in the future? It would be better to have them in the plan right now.
Oh, it gives you the largest selection of options that are in your toolbox. So yeah, down the road, maybe this makes sense versus that one. And you always have an option to kind of to change based on market conditions, based on, trends in town, et cetera. So I think, leaving all of them in, that gives you the greatest degree of flexibility, because once again, it's an advisory document. It's not a regulatory document.
Or even saying that, the commission may or may not be interested in doing all of these things, or all of them require further evaluation to determine whether they're even appropriate or helpful, but they're here as different avenues we might want to explore.
Yeah, and even the verbiage you can change to say, consider investigating, such as that. So then you're saying, you put it in there as a possible option, but it's not committing like, oh yeah, this is one of the actions that we're going to implement over the next 5 years.
Right, because people with applications are citing our plan of development all the time which is fine, and they should, and that's good, a good thing, but the same thing could happen with this,
Mhm.
which is okay. We just need to be aware of that.
Yep, Ms. Blake.
Do we have an opportunity to amend at any point? So we talk about market conditions changing, we talk about things in general. So if we see an opportunity that's not present today or something that we're thinking about, do we have an opportunity down the road for that?
Yes, so, well, one, by law, we're going to have to amend in 5 years. So, but also what the law says is when you update your plan of conservation development, you can revisit this even if it's in between that 5-year period. So in this case, this commission, you're going to, the POCD is up for adoption or upgrade, updating in 2026. So we're a few years out where we're going to look at our POCD. There'd be a great time also, because market could change in 2026 or 2025, to look at the affordable housing plan. And I would say run it concurrently, because your POCD is required to incorporate some of the goals of the 830J, meaning you're supposed to promote the addition of affordable housing units under your POCD along with this plan.
All right, any other discussion in the affordable housing, or we sort of went off and started talking about the accessory apartments too? If anybody wants to bring any of that up too, I'm game for it. No? Okay, just remember, next meeting, any changes or anything we want to add to the affordable housing, we need to discuss it next meeting. New business, a special permit application of Allison Eliason, D&D Incorporated. What are we doing with that?
It'll be public hearing at your next meeting, and it's just a pet grooming
grooming.
business that's relocating West Main Street. They're off of Cornwall Avenue right now.
Cool. Anything else to come before us tonight? Anything? No?
Nothing else for this
All
evening.
right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Mercado, seconded by Mr. Natale. All those in favor? Aye.
What were you saying?